He's a legit fighter. The reason I know that is because I have a close friend who's trained with him, Jake Boswick, who's a very legit fighter, who has said how good Jake Paul was. That combination there, let me rewind that. But if I didn't know who that guy was and I'm seeing the way he's boxing now, I would think, who is this guy? You know, he shouldn't be in there. Man, I can't stand Dylan Dennis. On that note, the debate of boxing, what's better, it's always going to be MMA. Welcome back. My name is Nathaniel Wood. I'm a current UFC fighter, former Cage Warriors world champion, and today I have been asked to react to boxing clips. So here we have James Toney. I think I know where we're going with this one. Oh, okay. Not in MMA. Very side on, so obviously if it was MMA, I'm going to kick that leg to absolute pieces. But if we're talking boxing, I mean, this guy's got the skill set. The movement as well, so fluid for a heavyweight. For a man of that size to just be moving the way he is, you know, it's special. Here we go. When boxing meets MMA. This is the funny thing as well with the whole debate, boxing versus MMA. Like, at the end of the day, both are sports. MMA is a sport, boxing is a sport. And both are what I would call play fighting, because there's rule set, there's a referee, there's time, there's groin guards, there's gum shields. But MMA is obviously a lot more realistic to a real life fight. So as you can see here, when boxing meets MMA, Randy Couture was not going to take more than 2 seconds to shoot him for a takedown. And that's all she wrote. On that note, the debate of boxing, what's better, it's always going to be MMA. Okay, next up we have Holly Holm. Wow, old school. The Preacher's Daughter, what a nickname. This is the thing, Holly Holmes was a stud. I was so happy the day she knocked Ronda Rousey out as well. So there you have obviously a professional boxer going into mixed martial arts who also became UFC champion of the world. I think in the female division, I think having that boxing background, striking background that Holly Holmes had, it made her that much better. You know, you had the likes of Ronda Rousey, who obviously was an amazing grappler, but in the striking department, you know, she wasn't too bad in the fights. But I mean, there was clips when she used to do that shadow boxing where she was like this. I think that's the difference. You know, I think Holly Holmes obviously came in there and, you know, proof's in the pudding. She knocked her out. I think boxing is amazing when it comes to mixed martial arts, as long as you're coach and you recognise that there's a lot of things you can't get away with. Right, Darren Till versus Rockhold, Misfits. This was legit. We have two southpaws here. Darren Till's left hand is just next level. The way he rotates puts all of that power behind, and he's a big man. It's definitely done some damage to Luke Rockhold, that fight. I mean, that combination there. Let me rewind that. And I watched this live as well. Bam, bam. The way he threw that uppercut, obviously Darren Till southpaw, so he threw that uppercut, which allowed all of that power to come in for his left hand, because obviously he's southpaw. And as you can see there, he completely shut Luke Rockhold down. You know, that's a knockout. Francis Ngannou. Now for me, this was the best Tyson Fury fight, because it was so nice to see an MMA fighter go in there and shut people up. Boom. You can't get hit by Francis Ngannou. But then this one broke my heart. Anthony Joshua, obviously, putting him to sleep. Now that shot was horrendous. That was... No man can get hit by that and not get knocked out. That's the thing. You know, at the end of the day, Francis Ngannou isn't a boxer, but a man like Francis Ngannou and the power that he packs in that punch, I think Tyson Fury underestimated him. And I think that's where he went wrong. I think AJ didn't, and that's where he went right. And I think he boxed smart. If it was MMA, Francis Ngannou, with the shots that he landed on Tyson Fury wouldn't have been getting up from that. Jake Paul, here we go. Now, so this is the thing I'm going to say about Jake Paul. He's a legit fighter. Now, the reason I know that is because I have a close friend who's trained with him, Jake Boswick, who's a very legit fighter, who has said how good Jake Paul was. With the amount of money he's got, he's able to bring in the best coaches, the best nutritionists. He has all the time in the world to just box. Now, fair play to him. It looks like he's working hard. You know, some of the fights that he's had was a little bit, you know, kind of comical in the build-up. You know, it was the YouTuber kind of thing. But at the end of the day, he's putting the work in, and I think it shows. Now, he's boxing against MMA fighters, of course. So, you know, Tyron Woodley, if it was MMA, would have destroyed him. It's not MMA, it's boxing. The same thing with Ben Askren. This is what breaks my heart, because, as I say, fair play to Jake Paul doing what he's doing, but from an MMA fighter's point of view, man, you're beating up on our legends, man. You know, Anderson Silva, obviously one of the greatest of all time. How old is he in this fight? I think he's 44 or something. I don't know exactly, but you know, him fighting Mike Tyson, you know, Nate Diaz. Again, these guys are legit fighters, but they're not boxers. Now, I think if Anderson Silva fought Jake Paul 15 years ago, maybe not even that long, 10 years ago, it would be a completely different story. Nate Diaz, as legit as they come in MMA, but when you put bigger gloves on, you take the little gloves away, it completely changes the game. You know, it's no longer the shots that, you know, the way Nate Diaz fights, they call it a Stockton slap. You know, he's very... It's great for MMA, it's not good for boxing. So I think Jake Paul's very smart in who he matches himself with. Anderson Silva, a legend, you can't knock him. However, when he fought him, he's 44 years old or whatever he was. Mike Tyson, the greatest of all time. But he's about 70 years old. You know, I don't know exactly how old he was. I think he was just under 60 or something. See, even Nate Diaz here, I can't knock him in MMA. But if I didn't know who that guy was and I'm seeing the way he's boxing now, I would think, who is this guy? You know, he shouldn't be in there. So it just goes to show that it's two different sports. Dylan Dennis versus Logan Paul. Man, I can't stand Dylan Dennis. Again, Dylan Dennis, jiu-jitsu, high level. Boxing. See, this is the sort of stuff, so I think this is Misfits, am I right in saying this is Misfits? So these are the fights that I don't like, you know, it's just like, one side I'm all for it when you've got the good fights, the Darren Till versus Luke Rockhold, but I mean, this is just horrendous. So now he's shooting him for a takedown. He's going for it, jumping for a guillotine. Security jumping in, like, come on, oh. This is where it becomes show business and less about the fighting. Yeah, so for me, that's the difference with boxing and MMA that I would say is there's more politics in boxing. And I knew that when I first started my MMA career. I knew that in MMA, as long as I'm winning my fights and I put on an entertaining fight, I'll eventually get to where I've got to be. I know a lot of professional boxers who were very legit, couldn't sell the tickets. You know, there was a lot more stuff behind the scenes that stopped them from reaching their goals. Now, that's the one thing I don't like about boxing. In MMA, the UFC, you have got the best fighters on the planet fighting the best fighters on the planet. For me personally, I would love to box. I would love to either box just on a normal boxing show or bare knuckle. I've always been a fan. I've never actually boxed myself, so I would love to do that before my athletic career is over. And I don't want to obviously be doing it when I'm 45 years old. You know, I'm not looking to stay in combat sports forever. I have kids that I need to look after, and I need to protect my brain as much as possible. So definitely in the next couple of years, I'd love to have a boxing belt. You know, I don't know if there's any shows out there that want to pay me some money. I don't know whether there's any fighters out there, and I'd love to go up against a boxer, because I believe that I can be the guy from MMA to show how good our striking is. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm Nathaniel Wood. That is MMA fighter reacting to boxing clips. Please tune in as always for the next videos, and if you think there is anything that we should be doing or anything you want added to next videos, leave it in the comments, and we will do our best to make them happen.